What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out the brand new Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon that just got revealed. This is coming out of the 20th Anniversary Legendary Collection, and Konami actually heavily teased this card. They showed it off on the OCG Twitter, or at least the artwork, and then even at YCS Sydney, they had it on the mats, and they were kind of talking about the card. My expectations were very low on this card because, you know, obviously it's just based on Ultimate Dragon. Ultimate Dragon has always been a hugely popular card from the original DM anime, but it was never competitive just because who the fuck wanted to spend, you know, 4 cards to summon one monster that just dies to a bottomless trap hole back in the day. But this card is actually significantly better than the original Ultimate, and I think that this card can actually take over a duel. So Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon. It's a level 12 monster. It's a light dragon, 4,500 attack, 3,800 defense. Everything from the original Ultimate Dragon was taken with this card. The stats, with the materials, the you know, the attribute, the type, all that stuff. The materials, just like the original Ultimate, are just 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon. Effect number 1 says this card cannot be targeted by or destroyed by opponent's card effects. That already fixes probably the biggest problem with the original Ultimate Dragon. The original Ultimate Dragon, you put like 4 cards into it, you summon it, it just dies to Mirror Force or Torrential or Bottomless. This card can't be targeted and can't be destroyed by those card effects, and it's really nice because it's really difficult, obviously, to deal with a 4,500 attack monster in battle. So now your opponent's relying on a Burrow monster or maybe something like a Kaiju. There may be one out in their deck, maybe, you know, a non-targeting removal card like Tiramisu or Trishula, cards like that. But outside of just a handful of outs, it should be relatively difficult for your opponent to get this card off the board. Effect number 2, once per turn, you can target one card your opponent controls, destroy that card. If this card was fusion summoned using a monster whose original name was Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon as material, you can target 2 or 3 cards instead. This card cannot attack during the turn you activate this effect. I love this because it means that if your opponent is playing maybe a back row deck like Altergeist or Paleo, instead of just trying to use Brute Force, which probably won't actually work against them, you get to now have a nice utility effect. It's not just a protection, but if you use an alternative dragon, now you're talking about being able to blow up 3 cards on your opponent's side of the field, which, let's be real, you pop 3 cards on your opponent's side of the field, that's basically their entire field, and chances are you're going to be able to win because your opponent's not going to have really any resources left, or they'll have very little resources. Definitely not enough to get into a monster that's actually going to counter this, unless they just top deck, you know, like a Kaiju, a 1 card kind of answer to this. To me, this card is so much better than the original Ultimate Dragon. It's actually kind of surprising. I actually think, or I thought this card was going to end up maybe having one of those 2 effects. I didn't think it was going to be that good of a card, but I like the protection level. I like the utility, the fact that this card can basically blow up an entire board if you use alternative. Even if not, you still get the pop 1. The only real question is about summoning this guy pretty easily, because if you just use a basic polymerization, you are giving up 4 cards. And while I do think that there are some decks, like, to be honest, I think that this could probably beat the entire Altergeist deck, because how do they kill this thing outside of Borolo Dragon? You know, I think that this card can beat some entire decks. I just, you know, I'm looking for Blue Eyes to get now a fusion spell, because I kind of feel like this card is good enough to warn. If Konami gave the deck maybe a Shadow Fusion or something like that, I think the only reason that Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon was okay, which maybe that card came out in Shining Victories, I'm just gonna guess. That card was a contact fusion, so Blue Eyes never really had to adjust their decks. If you ever just randomly happen to have 2 Blue Eyes on the field, it's like, oh, I guess I can make this. But, you know, this card is significantly difficult, or it's significantly hard to summon, and I think Konami needs to address that, because even something like Future Fusion, I don't know if you can actually rely on Future Fusion staying on the field multiple turns. I mean, that would summon this card for 1 card, but I don't know how often that's going to happen. It's a good card. It's just, as of right now, it's terribly difficult, like painfully difficult to actually summon. But I think if you do summon it, I actually feel like it is worth, or it's worth, you know, the investment, as long as you're not giving up like 4 cards against a combo deck like Thunder Dragons. That probably will be able to answer it. But what do you guys think of the new Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon? Do you guys think that it's worth the investment? I'm crossing my fingers. Again, hopefully Konami does give us some type of Blue Eyes fusion spell in the future. Anyways, whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.